See anything, three pretty little young girls on it.
That's right, Mayor. Oh, gosh. Hold on.
Okay. All right, if we are ready, we'll call the meeting to order. Mr. Moore, would you do the invocation, please?
Okay.
Mr. Moore, did you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Invocation.
Invitation first, okay. Heavenly Father, thank you for this country we live in, thank you for this community, thank you for these people we serve, thank you for those who serve them. Give us the wisdom, Lord, to do your job. Pray. Amen.
Amen. Now we're going to try this again. Ready? We're going to go fast. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yay! I have no idea. I'm sorry, Brian. I'm not much help. Oh, thanks.
Testing.
All righty. Brian, you may have to tell Mayor, go ahead. Is Mayor there?
Okay, I guess we've already done the pledge, is that correct? And the invitation? All right, item number 4 is a welcome. I'd like to welcome each and every one here or electronically, either way. At this time, we have a proclamation. The first one is the Women's History Month, and I believe Don is going to read that proclamation.
We have to approve the agenda. Mayor, can you hear me?
I can now, yes.
Okay, we need to approve the agenda, please.
I'm sorry, you're right. Item number 5 is the approval of the agenda. My mistake.
I make a motion that we approve the agenda.
We hear a motion that agenda.
Councilman Hines make a motion that we approve the agenda.
Second, Smith. Go ahead. Sorry, Mr. Smith.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All right, Ms. Parker.
I will poll the council, starting with Councilman Moy,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Hines,
Yes.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Councilwoman Robertson,
Yes.
and Councilman Moore.
Yes.
I believe, Mayor, we have all votes in favor of approval of the agenda as submitted.
Okay, thank you. Item number 6 is a proclamation. We have 4 of them, and the first one is the Women's History Month, and Don is going to read that proclamation, please.
Good evening, everyone. First proclamation this evening is the Women's History Month. Whereas American women of every race, class, and ethnic background have made historic contributions to the growth and strength of our nation in countless recorded and unrecorded ways. And whereas American women have played and continue to play critical economic, cultural, and social roles in every sphere of the life of the nation by constituting a significant portion of the labor force working inside and outside of the home. And whereas American women have played a unique role throughout the history of the nation by providing the majority of the volunteer labor force of the nation, And whereas American women were particularly important in the establishment of early charitable, philanthropic, and cultural institutions in our nation. And whereas American women of every race, class, and ethnic background served as early leaders in the forefront of every major progressive social change movement. And whereas American women have served our country courageously in the military. And whereas American women have been leaders not only in securing their own rights of suffrage and equal opportunity, but also in the abolitionist movement, the emancipation movement, the industrial labor movement, the civil rights movement, and other movements, especially the peace movement, which created a more fair and just society for all. And whereas despite these contributions, the role of American women in history has been consistently overlooked and undervalued in the literature, teaching, and study of American history. And now, therefore, I, Douglas A. Jackson, Mayor of the town of Winterville, hereby designate March as Women's History Month, honoring the contribution and legacy of women. In witness whereof, I do set my hand and cause the seal of Winterville to be affixed this 8th day of March, 2021.
Thank you, Don. Now, the second proclamation is the Girl Scout Week. If Don will so read that one.
Thank you, Mayor. Girl Scout Week 2021. Whereas March 12th, 2021 marks the 109th anniversary of Girl Scouts of the USA, the largest and most successful leadership program for girls in the world. And whereas as the world's premier leadership development organization for girls, Girl Scouts has emphasized public service, civic engagement, and fostering of sense of community in girls for over a century. And whereas Girl Scouts work to champion the ambitions, cultivate the talents, and develop the skills of girls to be leaders in their own world and in ours. Whereas in these incredibly challenging times, Girl Scouts provide community, consistency, and connection for girls, and is a safe haven in all the uncertainty. And whereas in the time of COVID-19, Girl Scouts offers girls skill building, digital programming, and experiences girls can participate in safely from home as they continue their Girl Scout journeys. And whereas at a time when civics education is missing from many schools, Girl Scouts has introduced new K through 12 civics badges to bring girls more experiences that deepen their understanding of democracy and government, prepare them for a lifetime of civic engagement, and motivate them to be catalysts for change. And whereas Girl Scouts offer girls 21st century programming in science, technology, engineering, and math, so known as STEM, also the outdoors, entrepreneurship, and beyond, helping girls develop invaluable life skills and take the lead early and often. And Golden Award Girl Scouts already take on projects that have a measurable and sustainable impact on a community by first assessing a need, designing a solution, completing a project, and inspiring others to sustain it. And whereas today more than 50 million women are Girl Scout alums, and whereas Girl Scouts North Carolina Coastal Plains serves girls across central and eastern North Carolina. Now therefore, I, Douglas A. Jackson, Mayor of the town of Winterville, hereby applaud the Girl Scout movement and Girl Scouts North Carolina Coastal Pines for providing girls with a safe, inclusive, all-girl space where they can hone their skills and develop leadership abilities. And I declare the second week of March to be Girl Scout Week in Winterville, North Carolina. In witness whereof, I do set my hand and cause the seal of Winterville to be affixed this 8th day of March, 2021.
Can I say something on
Okay.
Mayor, I'd like to say that it's fitting at this moment that we are recognizing our women and our girls at this time, at this day. It's an honor to recognize them both, our women and our girls. It's a blessing.
They
Thank you.
realize that.
Ma'am,
I'm just teasing.
that's what I wanted to say. It is an honor.
I didn't understand you guys. Okay, thank you, Don, Ms. Robinson. Okay, item number 3, or proclamations, I should say, number 3, Don's getting a workout tonight, is it, Pastor, Darren Carmen proclamation.
The proclamation for Pastor Darren Carmen. Whereas Pastor Carmen has reached beyond the doors of ministry and into the streets of our local community, and whereas Pastor Carmen has demonstrated an extraordinary commitment to the needs of the community during this worldwide crisis, and whereas Pastor Carmen stepped up and formed a team of essential workers during the pandemic, and whereas Pastor Carmen has provided hot meals and care packages reaching more than hundreds affected during this ongoing pandemic, and whereas Pastor Carmen has preached a renowned word to give hope as well as resources to those in trouble when words cannot explain nor express the dynamic impact he has made on the communities near and far. Whereas Pastor Carmen has started a mentoring program called Sikino, which is Greek for lift up. Within this program, he works closely with kids that range from 3 years old to young adults, which has a breathtaking 100% success rate. And whereas Pastor Carmen has started a gun awareness program called Winning Without Violence, which educates our children on the wrong and right uses of a weapon. And whereas Pastor Carmen focuses to be proactive and to educate our youth now to save a life later. And whereas Pastor Carmen was instrumental in the founding of People Against Racism, which has spoken to issues that most do not like to speak about. And whereas Pastor Carmen has gracefully pioneered the success of 2 more murals, which have brought peace, unity, and togetherness to the community. And whereas Pastor Carmen includes everyone and most of all loves everyone and is a well-honored man for all his hard work and dedication to his church and community. And whereas we celebrate Pastor Carmen as a Hero of the Year of 2021 in recognition for his outstanding performance and service. And now therefore, I, Douglas A. Jackson, Mayor of the town of Winterville, hereby deem it an honor and pleasure to extend this proclamation of recognition in celebrating Pastor Darren Carmen. In witness whereof, I do set my hand and cause the seal of Winterville to be affixed this 8th day of March, 2021.
Okay, thank you, Don. We have the last proclamation is the Young Child Month and Week. Okay, Mr. Don, go right ahead.
Okay, this final proclamation tonight is Month of the Young Child and Week of the Young Child. Whereas the Martin Pitt Partnership for Children, in conjunction with the North Carolina Association of the Education of Young Children and National Association for the Education of Young Children, are celebrating the Week of the Young Child, April 10th through the 16th, 2021. And whereas these organizations are working to promote and inspire high-quality early childhood experiences for our city's youngest citizens that can provide a foundation of learning and success for children in Winterville, North Carolina. And whereas teachers and others who work with or on behalf of young children, birth through age 5, who make a difference in the lives of young children in Winterville, North Carolina, deserve thanks and recognition. And whereas public policies that support early learning for all young children are crucial to young children's futures and to the prosperity of our society. And whereas all young children and their families across the country and in Winterville, North Carolina, deserve access to high-quality early education and care. Whereas in recognizing and supporting the people, programs, and policies that are committed to high-quality early childhood education as the right choice for kids. And now therefore, I, Douglas A. Jackson, Mayor of the town of Winterville, do hereby proclaim April 2021 as Month of the Young Child and April 10th through the 16th, 2021 as Week of the Young Child in Winterville, North Carolina, and commend observance to all citizens. And in witness therefore, I do set my hand and cause the seal of Winterville to be affixed this 8th day of March, 2021.
Okay, thank you, Don.
I got two things I'd like to say about Women's History Month. We have two people in town government here that have broke that glass ceiling. We do give respect to our first councilwoman, Velma Harper. And we also give credit to our town manager. You are the first female town manager that served in Winterville. So, you know, you don't have to be dead to be part of history.
Phew, thank
We
goodness.
appreciate the fact that these two people I know have excelled here in Winterville in places and positions that they are not usually found in. So we appreciate their service.
Thank you.
And also, I'd like to add on about Pastor Carmen, not only just for him, also for his church family. You can't stand on the island all by yourself. It takes a group of people. So I'd like to commend not only him, but his church family also for a job well done, that what they have done into our community. Again, we want to say thank you.
Mayor?
Okay, all right, I think, Don and I had discussed this before. I think we can unanimously approve these. I don't think we have to have a motion or anything. Does that satisfy the council?
Mayor, we have a public hearing. Oh, you're talking about the proclamations?
No, I hadn't got the public hearing yet. I'm on these proclamations we just had.
Mayor, I'm not,
Okay,
Mayor, I don't know that council's required to approve the proclamations.
okay. Do I hear a motion? You do not need a motion. I'm sorry.
We don't.
Okay, moving on to item number 7 is a public hearing on Eli's Ridge, Phase 1 and 3. With that being said, I declare the public hearing open. We have one person that submitted in writing for approval. Are there others?
Mayor, I think Brian may want to give some introductory remarks.
Okay, all right, Brian.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Members of council, it's always a pleasure to be in front of you. So as the mayor stated, we do have a public hearing for the annexation of Eli's Ridge Phases 1 and 3. This is just a stormwater detention area. So if you guys will remember back in before Christmas, we actually did the annexation for Eli's Ridge Phases 1 and 3. We neglected to include the actual stormwater detention area that's part of that subdivision. So as soon as we realized that we got those guys to submit that in as well. So it's sort of some housekeeping, some cleanup we're doing. But I'll run through it real quick and then I'll answer any questions you guys have along the way. So it's Bill Clark. This is the same location obviously as Eli's Ridge, Worthington Road, east of its intersection with Old Tar. This is a portion of parcel 25777. 10 acres, R10 is the zoning district. just some statutory requirements. We did notify the adjacent property owners on February 22nd and ran a hearing notice in the Daily Reflector on February 24th and March 3rd. So here is our aerial of it. You can see Worthington up on the north part. The portion over here outlined in the dark dashed line, that's the portion we're doing. This all over here previously was annexed. So with that, I'll answer any questions council may have.
I think is it 42 lots that is estimated for this 25.7 acres?
Yeah, that'll be the final plat we go to under new business, Councilman Moy. So that'll be, and I'll go a little bit more into depth on that, but you can see this portion over here, this will be part of that stormwater pond area in that final plat. But right now, that's just what they're asking to petition in the town to annex.
So you just need a motion to accept it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll have to do public hearing first, yeah.
We've got a public hearing. I think the mayor's opened the public hearing. Do we have any comments, any public comment, or anybody's emailed or written in?
We have not received any written comments or received any verbal comments, no, sir.
Is that area draining?
So, yeah, they have designed a stormwater facility over there with the stormwater pond and obviously the street road system and the stormwater drains out there. So yeah, they designed it, and I think it's adequate for the drainage, yes, ma'am.
So basically, they're building around it, they haven't really got it operational to the
Yeah, I
point
mean,
of actually collecting water yet.
At this point, we had a lot of rain the past month or so, and it was a mess out there, past couple of weeks, but I mean, everywhere's been a mess. But especially with the construction out there, it's really hard to tell when all that's going on. So it may be premature for me to say it, but engineering-wise, it does meet all the requirements of our ordinances.
So basically, it was there, we just overlooked it?
Yes,
It was
sir.
there at the beginning, we just overlooked it?
That's exactly right. Yep. So we're just cleaning up the annexation part of it. So if and when the council approves the final plat, this will be part of this actually on the town's tax roll.
The mayor mentioned that somebody.
Okay,
Mayor, did you say that you have received a comment?
there's one in the agenda packet, yes, from the contractor. That's the only one I've received, and I guess everybody's got it.
Yes, sir, in the packet, but no
Yeah.
additional comments.
No, okay. I'm sorry, I almost had the cart before the horse. I'm sorry about that, Brian. Okay,
We're
I
all
don't
in
think,
together,
I don't
Mayor.
think that was a comment.
Okay,
Just where he
with
signed
that
off
being
on
said,
sending it to the
uh,
town.
we'll declare the public hearing open. Is anyone that would like to speak in favor of this? And the only one I have is the one from the contractor, which everybody has. Anyone that would like to speak in favor?
Mr. Mayor, Landon Weaver with Bill Clark Homes. Of course, I'm in favor of the application for annexation. I'm more here for any kind of questions that may be fielded by our group, but it's just, as Brian said, just to clean up the original annexation of the project.
Right. Anyone have any questions? Hearing none. Anyone that is opposed to this annexation? Anyone that's opposed? With that being said, we'll close the public hearing. What's the pleasure of the board?
I make a motion that we accept the retention pond on the plat.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All right, Madam Parker, you can vote.
It's a
Yeah.
24-hour period.
Right.
Yeah, and that was, the motion was for accepted for annexation.
Right, just accept it for annexation.
Okay.
But it's still,
But yeah, it'll still be contingent upon the 24-hour period.
Mayor, just for clarification purposes, Mayor Pro Tem Hines' motion seconded by Councilman Smith includes contingency that assumes we receive no comment over the next 24 hours of the conclusion of this meeting. It will move forward assuming the council votes.
Correct.
Okay, I thank you.
So I'll poll the board, starting with Councilman Boyd,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Hines,
yes.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Councilwoman Robertson,
Yes.
and Councilman Moore.
Yes.
Mayor, I believe that we have votes all in favor of approving the annexation as presented.
I got a quick question about
Okay.
the subdivision. We haven't talked about it in a while. Didn't have anything to do with this particular vote, but whatever became of, or where are we at with the water situation there? How much, if any, will we be providing?
We will be providing, and Ben, I assume you can hear us, Ben's in the next room, as to the actual breakdown of the number of lots the town of Winterville will be providing versus Eastern Pines Water Corporation. If I'm not mistaken, Ben, can you hear me? Thank you. I don't know if you recall what the breakdown of the number of lots we're providing water to is.
I do not recall the exact number.
There's a formal agreement signed between us and them, so it's delineated in the agreement. Honestly, it's been a little while. I don't remember the exact breakdown either.
50%, is it 25%, is it?
I want to say there's more on us than them. There's about 230 lots in there, and I want to say,
Do we have most of this phase one?
we had all
This-
of
all
phase
phase-
one, what we've
I'm
approved.
assuming they're coming in the back end. so-
That's right.
That's correct. Those are future phases back there.
And again, I'll jump in. Y'all are correct. The vast bulk of it over the whole subdivision is coming towards us. It's a smaller, it's 20-30% that maybe, that we won't serve.
The higher density area in the rear of it.
We'll get an exact number out to council to remind everybody sort of what the breakdown is.
Yeah, I was just wondering, we had talked about it in a while. Thank you.
We do anticipate that as development continues, that we'll be in negotiation with Eastern Pines again in the future, and then also across Highway 11 as anything comes about over there with Bell Office. So it's a continuation of dealing with those private water corporations. Mayor?
Yes, ma'am. Okay, that takes care of that, I believe. And I don't think we have anyone that has signed up for public comment, have we? I don't think so, so we'll move on to the consent agenda.
Just,
Hear a motion? Any
Mayor,
item need?
Mayor, one moment.
Yes, okay.
just one remembrance that if we do get any comments, we will have to bring this back to you all at a later time
That's from the public hearing.
from the
You're
public
right.
hearing.
You're right, I can't get myself straight tonight.
That's okay.
Do we hear a motion that we approve this?
Consent
The
agenda.
on the public hearing?
Mayor, we've already taken the vote on that item.
I'm sorry, I can't get my act together tonight.
That's okay.
Yeah, all right,
So we're at.
moving on to the consent agenda. Any item need to be removed?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Mayor, we've got Councilman Moore made motion to approve, seconded by Councilwoman Robertson.
Okay, that's good.
And
I'll let you take the vote.
Okay, I'll start with Councilman Boyd,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Hines.
Yes.
Councilman Smith.
Yes.
Councilwoman Robertson.
Yes.
And Councilman Moore.
Yes.
Mayor, I believe we have all votes in favor of approval of consent agenda as presented.
All righty, I thank you. Moving on to item number 10, new business. Item number 1 is the Pitt County Human Resource Relations Commission. Appoint a member.
Mayor, members of the council, it's interesting because as we've been working at staff level and trying to get our human relations board information, bylaws, et cetera, together, Pitt County has since developed one for the entire county. The letter in your packet was dated towards the end of January. However, due to the mail situation as it currently is, I did not receive that letter till later in February or even March. I don't have it in front of me. But Pitt County is asking the town of Winterville to appoint a member to this countywide commission, and therefore present it to council to discuss. I did include the ordinance on the county ordinance that created that commission for your information.
Well,
I would like to volunteer,
I was going to ask Ms. Robinson if she was interested, since she had brought it up
I
before.
would prefer to serve on as a liaison for the one here in Winterville. I mean, not saying I'm gonna get it, but I would prefer to do that.
I would like to serve on the county.
Well,
And you also?
no, I was going to say kudos. Make a motion that we appoint Mr. Tony Moore.
Second.
Mayor, we have a motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Hines, seconded by Councilman Moore Councilman Smith to appoint Councilman Moore as the representative to the Pitt County Human Relations Commission.
That's good. I really couldn't hear that. Are there any other nominations?
They've already got a motion and a second.
Oh, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, you can take the vote.
Mayor, I'll call the board now on that. Give me just a second.
Okay?
That was good music.
I love that ringtone.
Councilman Moore, if you're ready.
Yes, I'm finished playing my music.
If you're ready to
There's a
vote
human
on,
factor again. We're all humans.
Councilman Moore's service on the commission.
Yes, I think that would be a great choice.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Hines,
Yes.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Councilwoman Robertson,
Yes.
and Councilman Moore.
Yes.
Mayor, we have all votes in favor of Councilman Tony Moore as the appointee to the Pitt County Human Relations Commission.
That sounds real good to me. Thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
All righty. Item number 2 on the new business is Eli Ridge Phase 1 and 2, the final plat. Brian, do you have information on that?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. So you see on your screen there, so Eli's Ridge, phases 1 and 3, the final plat. Location is Worthington Road, east of this intersection with Old Tar. Parcel numbers there, 86615 and 25777. So this will be 42 lots on 25.7776 acres. Zoning district is R10. So just some site history. This preliminary plat was approved by council back in April of 2018. Construction plans were subsequently approved by Winterville Development Review Committee on August 9th, 2019. And this final plat went before P&Z last month, and it was unanimously recommended for approval. So here's a aerial of the site. You can see kind of the site work already there in the aerial. But just some items of note. So you got, see, this is a big portion of the, sorry guys. This thing is acting crazy. Let me go back.
It's just one of those nights.
There you go.
Acknowledgement.
I don't even know what's going on with it.
I bet his son did that. Did your son put it on the phone?
All right, so getting back where we were at. So here's the aerial of the site. So just some, man, come on. No, it's not your fault. All right, let's try something real quick. You guys bear with me 1 second. We're just going to not save that.
But what you finding that, isn't it, if we're looking at it on our iPads, to the right of it is, that's where we just was looking at the retention pond? Yeah, to the right, the big area. is- Right, yeah, that's the area, that's the retention pond. Because it drains.
All right, see if we can get back through this. All right. So here we go. All right, so here we go. So again, aerial photograph of the site. So just some items to note. So you see a big portion of floodplain there, and I'll try to point out some significant areas in the floodplain. I don't know why it's not working. Okay, so there's our map. There's your plot plan showing on it. So there's that overlay of the floodplain. So you see there's some portions along right in this area. So you'll see some areas there that'll be located in the floodplain. The Bill Clark is actually going through a LOMAR process. So they're actually using that fill material they got off site to build those sites up. So eventually they hope to garner that designation from FEMA that those properties will be located outside the floodplain. There's just a riparian buffer. So you see Fort Swamp is obviously the canal over there. So you got a riparian buffer associated with it. That riparian buffer is just 50 foot on each side of that stream features in both. So you got a little bit of a tributary coming off interior of the subdivision. So they won't be allowed to build any impervious surface within those shaded areas. That the orange area that I just highlighted is the Southeast Drainage Commission's drainage lateral. So that's just a travel way over there. There's your stormwater area that's highlighted in green. So staff recommendation is approval of the final plat. And with that, I'll answer any questions. And Landon's already shown he's on the line. So if you got any questions for Bill Clark, Mr. Landon Weaver will be able to answer those.
When we take over this, once everything is developed. I'm sorry.
I know it's odd to have you back to work.
When everything is developed, and everything is turned over to the town, we will be responsible for making sure that the detention pond and everything that you were showing us a few minutes ago is being upkept. Is that correct?
That's right. And you know, as the town, we'll be invested in making sure it is operating correctly. So that, but it financially will be the HOA's responsibility. So they'll incorporate a homeowners association, and that homeowners association will be financially responsible for any maintenance or any repairs needed to that stormwater facility.
Well, I'm just going to jump in on this point right here. Because I've had this conversation before, and we had a little problem with the pond beside my house, which is caused some issues late summer, where evidently that homeowners association is not wanting to take care of it. That development is very young. It hasn't been there very long, and we already have had an issue. I mean, this is not a Bill Park deal, but I'm speaking from the town standpoint. We need something in place. But I'm gonna tell you, when that pond grows up, you know who's gonna be, I'm not gonna use an ugly word here, but moaning and groaning, it's gonna be me. Because I had my taste of it at the end of the summer, and grass is getting ready to start growing again, this needs to be addressed at some point in time so that other people are not having to deal with this.
And I think what we're gonna have to do as a staff is we're gonna have to, keep a better inventory of the status of these ponds and go out and routinely inspect them and deal with the, applicable people that are, and groups that are in charge of them on a more regular basis.
But the code that we already have in place with the height of growth.
Vegetation.
Would that correlate with,
Now, if there's not any berms around ponds, that's two different.
so that will be, so it will be something entirely different?
Yes, I think so.
That's just my question, I'm asking for. Because at a certain height, something should be done.
Well, obviously, grass in excess of 8 inches is considered to be in violation of the town ordinance, so.
And I'm just bringing that up, I don't mean to start a big deal here, but I just know if we're going to make them put in retention ponds in these neighborhoods, then we need to be prepared that we're going to monitor that, because when the building's gone, sorry, Landon, they're gone. They're not studying that thing anymore.
Yeah, yes,
And
sir.
that falls
Mr.
back on us.
Yes, sir, Mr. Smith, and we set up the covenants and restrictions, and we kept it clean while we were there, mowed it. We actually hired a management company to set up a transfer meeting, told them who was doing the maintenance for us, told them what their obligations were, held a meeting for them to elect officers for their board, and you're right, once a builder is done, because you can't afford to sit there and maintain things forever, and you're absolutely right in that. And I'll just say that we'll work with the town in any way we can to help the community succeed in the future, because we want communities that we build as well as others to be successful even after we're gone. So we tried our best to set it up. I think it was just a tough situation with some of the homeowners in there potentially. So, but I'll agree with you.
I definitely think there's gonna have to be, whether it's the town trying to get this information out there, but certainly Landon, your folks, in the best way possible can help at the outset when people buy these homes, to let them know that these homeowner association exists and the responsibilities thereof. I know some of those documents can be rather, large, and not everyone sits down and goes through them like they should when they purchase a home, but nonetheless, property owners just need a better understanding of the requirements that go into, and potentially what can happen if they don't keep them up. And I think we're gonna, as staff, have to step up and try to figure out a better process on our side.
Yeah, well, Terry, this is, I don't know how we could do, or if y'all do have, as HOAs, as property managements of these HOAs, is it a list that who's managing these properties, or these HOAs, that that the town gets to say who's managing the HOAs?
We don't have any say-so over the management.
Right, I understand we don't have any say-so, but if we knew who was managing the HOAs, that we could have them come in and talk with them.
Yes, we have a pretty good, list of the active homeowners associations and who their management companies are. In this particular case, and Landon, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think this ever really got off the ground after the developer was done. Is that correct?
That is correct. We had a transition meeting. It's not required by anybody, but it's something that we provide to our homeowners. And homeowners have amnesia conveniently sometimes, even if we do explain things, they sign off on a lot of things. It seems like we've got a disclaimer, and they sign off on a ton of stuff, just like you said today. Some people may forget, but we had a meeting at Keystone Property Management and even gave them the opportunity to sign up with Keystone Property Management to manage their property going forward, and they decided not to do that. And we can't force them. Once we give over the declarant rights, it's theirs to run. and they decided, from my understanding, not to hire a management company, and they self-managed.
I think that, Landon, thank you for that recap, because that's what we understand. Keen, I don't know what our,
We just need to make sure that we've got something that we can enforce. Because I promise you, from the summer, I ain't gonna be a pain in somebody's butt if that mess gets nasty beside my house. Because I pay too much money and work too hard for something to look bad that's right next to me.
Before,
And let me just say, too, I'm sorry, and, you know, across the street is Mellon Downs, and they do a fabulous job. I mean, there's people out there every week, tying straw, cutting back, mowing grass, so, you know, you got one neighborhood that does it great, and you got another one that doesn't do anything, and that's gotta be addressed.
well,
People work too hard for that stuff.
before you say, King, I want to say this to you and Brian, King and Brian, but is it any way possible that we could, in order to be, you know, with the subdivision coming in, the HOAs, that they have to list who their could it be that they have to list who the HOAs are?
I want to make sure I'm getting the question.
All right, like new subdivisions coming in, once they be taken over by us, that they have to list who who's managing the HOA to us. We have a list of, could it be that we could put something in place that you would have to list it with us? Let us know who is the acting in charge of your HOA.
I mean, I certainly think that can be something we require. Unfortunately, as long as the development's under construction, usually the developer is involved and things won't fail.
Right.
It's when they're done and this transition does not occur, like in the case we're talking about successfully, that it becomes a little more challenging, because then there's no management company, there's nobody stepping forward to own the management thereof, and so we have an issue when the citizen, in this case, Councilman Smith called, we go around and we look at it, and yeah, it is a problem.
But that's what I'm saying, I'm just trying to make a sense of how can we do something. I know we can't control the HOA, but what I'm saying is, once the HOA is released from the builder over to the homeowners, and they're paying their fees.
Well, as
To-
soon as everything
I know, but I'm just saying, you know, as soon as they're paying their fees to a company, that company should be listed with us to say they're managing blase, and this one is managing that. So we know who is managing these properties, that then if a problem arises, as he says, we can go to them and say, hey,
I think that works well. I think that's already happening in those HOAs that have management companies. The challenge is when they don't have one, they self-manage, and then I guess the question is, and I'll look at Keene, you know, what are our recourses? Number one, let's just say the stormwater pond has to be cut back and all, we end up having a contract out for do the work. What is the recourse at that?
Sure. Yeah, and just a couple lead-in points to that. The transition from the developer to a homeowners association, in other words, to the homeowners controlling, is typically written into the restrictive covenants, and it can be different from subdivision to subdivision, but there's usually a fairly sort of common way. Usually the developer is in charge until a certain number of lots, like a percentage lots are sold, and then it starts to transition from the developer into a homeowner association. And I think that's probably the point where we just need to let the developer know, hey, once that homeowner association kicks in because a certain number of lots have been sold, just let us know, you know, who's going to be the property manager, and then whether it's Keystone or HOA or, you know, there's several of them scattered around Pitt County, we'll know who to contact if something gets out of whack. But to answer Terry's other point, and of course you've heard me say this time after time, the town is not a party to the restrictive covenants. That's between ultimately between the property owners themselves in the subdivision. But there is a document that's created, we've had in place now for 4 or 5 years for these retention ponds, where the developer signs it on the front end because he's there at the genesis of it, where there's an acknowledgement on the developer and then later the homeowner association that there's certain responsibilities and obligations they have, mainly what Mr. Smith is talking about, cutting grass and making sure things don't get out of whack. If they don't follow that, if they're not cutting the grass and keeping it looking like it should, then, I mean, we would send a letter and remind them, say, you've got to do this, and if they just sort of saying, we're not, then I think our recourse is we go to a judge and ask a judge to order them to do it pursuant to that document. So basically, the answer to your question is if they don't voluntarily do it, and I think when you got a homeowner association out there that's following this, it sounds like to me it's probably being handled across the street, as Mr. Smith says. It's probably a homeowner association that works with a property management company gets done. But if it doesn't, then it's I think the option is we go to court and get a court order.
Now, and who do they order to, Keith?
It would be to that homeowner association. I mean,
They don't have one.
well, it sounds like to me if in moving forward with these new ones, you know, that they're creating one. If in this instance where
There is one, it's just, there's.
yeah,
I guess that's my thing. What happens when it falls apart?
Right.
And we're talking about a fairly new neighborhood here. What happens 10 years from now? When you get different, you know, people are selling their homes, new people are moving in. I mean, we've got a mess that the town has to clean up.
yeah, if the homeowner association never gets started or gets started and falls apart, of course the developer, I mean, legally he's sold his lots and he's moved on. It's the property owners. So the answer to your question is if there's 25 or 50 or 100 property owners, that's who are going to be the named defendants in the matter, and they're the ones. I'm sorry.
All the properties?
Yeah, I think once a judge grants that order, we can. I mean, there's a way to get it done. It's just it goes from being relatively simple where you knock on the homeowner association.
A lot of work and money for the town.
Correct. Absolutely.
Take care of something that should have been.
Yeah, it'd be a small nightmare to sue everybody in the subdivision.
Who made the
That's
law
kind
we
of the
had
point
to
I'm
have?
trying to make.
Who made the law we had to have stormwater? My neighborhood doesn't have one.
A homeowner association?
Yeah,
Well,
not a
you-
home association, stormwater ponds. Who made that? State law?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That's right.
So
There-
when my house was built, they didn't have a law, but they have it now. New law?
The house you live in now?
Yeah.
I'm sure there was that law.
But is it state law, Brian? or-
That's right, it's North Carolina statutes.
Yeah,
North Carolina law.
Yes, sir.
So they can tweak that law if they wanted to, couldn't they? They can tweak that law and make everybody part of the association pay a fee to the town of Winterville.
Well,
But
we
the-
need to open
the
up a
judge.
can of worms. I was just, I know the issues that I had in a fairly new area, and I don't want our residents to have those same issues. And you can throw in, if you look at some of our neighborhood entrances,
yeah.
they look, some of them terrible.
And most of those, a lot of.
Missing letters on signs, things that make the town look bad,
And a lot of
because
those.
things aren't being enforced, or they don't have a homeowners association.
That it was pre the time we started requiring them.
Could we ask that local representative to tweak a law, a bill to the home association that they each had to pay a fee rather than have to go to court? Other than us having to spend the money? Since they made the law, they need to tweak the law.
I mean, I think the legal leads is
Well,
already,
that-
it's already in place.
Technically, they've all signed legal agreements that they are contributing members to that homeowners association, which is ultimately responsible for the maintenance.
Yeah.
So we have the recourse legally, from my understanding, to do exactly what you're talking about, Councilman Moore.
In the simplest of terms, if you, I think I'm answering your question, Mr. Moore. If you buy into a subdivision where the foundation documents, restricted covenants, the maps recorded indicate there's a homeowner association, you by receiving the deed, you're agreeing to be a member of the homeowner association.
Also, the same thing in entrance signs.
Right. I mean,
We
and
can
that's,
go against each neighborhood has a terrible looking entrance sign. Who makes that decision about the sign not being adequate?
well,
Sorry.
what most subdivisions do is, once they get formed, there's a certain amount of common area. And for a lot of subdivisions, it is primarily the entrance sign. Now, some have pools or they have other common area. But all that common area is deeded to the homeowners association, so that once the homeowners association gets control of it, then they're the ones that's supposed to maintain it, whether it's whether it's the grounds around the sign, so it doesn't get grown up, or keep the sign in good working order.
So Canterbury is the largest subdivision we have at this time, until Eli's Ridge starts. So therefore, who keeps up that, I know they have no more lots there, so he keeps up that sign now,
The Canterbury,
subdivision sign, who keeps that sign up?
um,
I used to have to do it.
it should be the homeowners association. I know in my subdivision, there's 2 or 3 people that go out there and sort of maintain the flowers around it, but I think they get permission to the homeowners association and they take care of it.
Is
But
there one active, Brian, Canterbury now?
I am not sure, but we can look that up.
I do believe there's one, I don't believe it's the whole subdivision, and we remember we had a discussion about chickens.
Yep.
That came out, one of the requests came out of citizen of Canterbury, and there was some discussions about a homeowners association set of covenants that I don't recall that it covered the entire neighborhood, but I don't know how active they are.
Well, I didn't mean to have a long drawn out conversation. I was just, something for everybody to chew on because
it's coming.
Yes, and I still have one more
I mean,
question.
I got round up and round call. I can take care of it late at night.
Let's try to know the process.
Yes.
Okay.
Diesel fuel.
My question,
Oh, come on, man.
This meeting recorded.
Please.
okay, my question is, HOA is responsible for everything except the street. Is that correct? That's the only thing that the town is responsible for.
It-
I understand.
The HOA would be responsible for any basically any common area.
That's right.
So, the street, of course, you're right, assuming it's accepted by the town's responsibility, the streets, the property, the lots, whether somebody lets the lot get grown in front of their house, that's a homeowner thing. But the common area is where the restrictive covenant, or where the homeowner association would be responsible for maintaining, either cutting or removing dead trees or shrubs, or if there's a sign, to keep that sign in good working order. So it's the common area. Sorry, it's a long answer to your question.
A lot of the entrance signs in some of these neighborhoods in question, there is no existing homeowner association, nor is one required. So if the neighbor or a citizen living in that neighborhood is keeping it up and they decide they don't want to do it anymore, then unfortunately, there's no recourse there, and if any action would be taken, it's my understanding you have to take it ourselves.
Yeah, we would.
Well, and I'll throw another caveat on it too. I don't know, well, there are no requirements that the subdivision has to have an entrance sign. So we do require a stormwater facility. So that's where our requirement comes in, the maintenance for a stormwater BMP would be in place. So as far as a sign, they could have a subdivision with no sign. So if they want to have a sign, that's to their own, however they want to do that. But then the maintenance would potentially fall under a nuisance category where,
Normally, the area that you put a sign is often used on the property.
100%, yep, yeah.
Mayor,
I'm sorry.
Okay,
When we
I
voted
guess.
on this at first, when we were voting on it and approving this, development anyway, I had lots of apprehensions about the area flood and this fork swamp and it being an agricultural range and all that. Will we know when FEMA approves it? Will they have to notify you, Brian?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
So that would be the notification there.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
I'm still apprehensive because we're building on floodplain, we're saying you can't put certain services there, and I'm trying to figure out how you build a house without putting a driveway, unless, not thinking correctly and not considering the driveway impervious, right? Would they be allowed, maybe my question should be, would they be allowed to put driveways in that area?
So it's two different sets of regulations on the impervious surface. Impervious surface can go in the floodplain. The only portion of the property that wouldn't be allowed is in the riparian buffer along the adjacent land by the stream of the channels. So this is two different regulations. The floodplain, yes, they can put impervious surface in it. So the driveways won't be an issue. And your concerns are valid. Anytime you're even near a floodplain, development of it is one that you're going to have to weigh the risk of how you develop that neighborhood to minimize that risk. So that's where we really rely on the engineering, the stormwater calculations, on the pre and post calculations, where how big that pond's got to be, the release rates, all that good stuff that goes into the engineering. And I can let Landon probably speak a little bit better from their perspective on how they design it, if he so wishes.
Hey, Lincoln,
Yes.
would you like to say anything about how you guys address the calculations of floodplain and how you handle stormwater?
Yeah, there are two different things. We did design the stormwater ponds to handle all the impervious. It's actually on the recorded map an impervious limitation that you can have per lot. So that is on the recorded map for each lot. There is a set amount that you can have, and it runs with the property where you can't go over that. So when you go in for a permit with your building inspections, we would have the impervious number on that plot plan in order to get a building permit. And once we convey title to that lot, if anybody would want to do any other improvements, your building inspections, when they do the building permit for any kind of additions, they would be able to look back at that plat that's on record that follows the property and make sure that they don't go over what that stormwater was designed for, this actual pond. Regarding the floodplain issue, we did raise those lots up, and we're petitioning to FEMA to remove those lots from the floodplain. So we elevated those. And as Brian mentioned, he'll get notification once that's done. We have put those lots on hold. We're not selling them until we hear back from FEMA, because we don't want to build a home in the floodplain. It's a burden to us to do that, and we don't want to get the cart before the horse and sell something, promise something until it's completely done with FEMA. And it's hard to get along when you build in the floodplain. So that's not something that we desire to do at all, and we don't desire to put our customers in that situation. So we've got those on hold. We're gonna build the other lots, and as soon as we hear back from FEMA and those lots where the houses sit are out, we'll put those for sale at that point.
Did that answer your question?
So can we make a motion to accept this plat? Or do you need a motion to accept this plat? I make a motion that we accept Eli Ridge 1 and 2 final plat. Councilman Hines.
Second.
Is there a second?
Councilman Smith seconded it.
Okay.
Mayor, I'll hold the board starting with Councilman Boyd.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Hines.
Yes.
Councilman Smith.
Yes.
Councilwoman Robertson.
Yes.
And Councilman Moore.
Yes.
Mayor, we have all votes in favor of approving the final plat for Eli's Ridge phases 1 and 2 as presented.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to item 3 is the Villa Grande Phase 2 final plat.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So Villa Grande Phase 2, final plat. This is located out on Red Forbes Road. That's north of its intersection with NC 903. The parcel numbers 82581 and 10262. This is 55 lots on 26.1 acres, and it's also zoned R10. So some history of the site. This preliminary plat was initially approved by Town Council back in May of 2018, and construction plans were subsequently approved by DRC on October 22nd, 2018. The final plat was before P&Z last month, February 15th, and they unanimously recommended approval to council. So here is your site. You can see Red Forbes Road here, and here's your site here. So the first phase of Villa Grande This is what we'll be looking at, so you can see a little close up there. Then there's your plat overlaid on top of the aerial. So just some items of note. There's your stormwater pond for this section. There's your interconnectivity stub-out streets to the adjacent property. And with that, staff recommends approval of the final plat, but I'll answer any questions you guys have.
Is there any berms available for this development? Any berms?
Berms, there won't be any berms required for this portion, no, sir. It's all, the berms will only apply to the double fronted lots along the state road or along the road, and these won't front any roads, won't have any double fronted roads out there. So even with the interconnectivity, it would all be interior streets, so the berm requirement wouldn't apply here.
Thank you.
I think Mr. John Thomas, the project engineer, is on the line if you guys got any questions specifically for him.
Any questions or discussion?
It's a nice common area, 2 acres, 2.5 acres. A commons area.
Yes,
That's
sir.
what we do on the west side, Tony. Nice common areas.
That's pretty good.
Well, I'll make a motion that we accept the final plat of Bella Grande Phase 2. Councilman Hines.
Moy, second on that.
We have a motion and a second. Ms. Parker, you can take the vote.
Thank you so much. I'll start with Councilman Moy,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Hines.
Yes.
Councilman Smith.
Yes.
Councilwoman Robertson. Councilman Moore.
Yes.
Mayor, we have all votes in favor of approving the final plat for Phase 2 of Villa Grande as presented.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Moving on to item number 4 is standard construction specifications and detailed update.
I believe Mr. Ben Williams is joining us for this item.
You see here?
Yeah, I'll sit there. Good evening, Mayor and Council. This item is just a little bit of cleaning up and housekeeping. We used to have an old PDF version that we used to white out and type on that we had online, but this document is the standard specifications and details, which is what we utilize, and contractors and developers and anybody that wants to do any improvements around town utilize to make sure that they meet our standards and requirements for stormwater, streets, sewer, water infrastructure. So what we did was we had Wooten Company take our old file, bring it up to current standards, electronic editable format, as well as some detailed CAD drawings of the actual specifications, driveway details, for instance. So homeowners or developers can have this, look at this document, understand what it is that we're requiring of them. It's something that we can now email easily. We can put it online for folks out of our area to view. We went through the process of critiquing the changes. We've also provided this to some area developers for their comments. They have provided some back. We incorporated them into the update. And so now we have this nice one-stop shop, 300 plus pages that we can utilize and have available for developers. So we just ask that council accept this clean, comprehensive document for our continued use.
Have a motion and a second for approval. Ms. Parker, take the vote.
Councilman Moy.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Hines.
Yes.
Councilman Smith.
Yes.
Councilwoman Robertson. Yes. And Councilman Moore.
Yes.
Mayor, I believe we have votes all in favor of approving the standard construction specifications and details as Mr. Williams presented.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you all.
Item number 11 is the municipal elections. Ms. Robinson.
I've been hearing a little conversation about municipal elections may be delayed due to the census, since some areas do have districts. I know we don't have districts, but, been hearing a lot, I've been reading a lot about it in the paper, and I asked, our town manager, if she get a report tonight so that we could all be aware of, I didn't know if a decision would be made now, we would be aware of when the elections are gonna be held. And I just felt like we should know, and our citizens should know. I think it does lead to a lot of frustration when you do elections at different times.
I would like to ask the board to vote on, send a letter to our representatives to have ours this year, regularly, and not support having it put off to 2022.
That is staff's recommendation. As we look into it, obviously, the cities and towns that have districts or wards or however they term their respective individualized areas might deem the census data more, we deem it important for a lot of reasons, but we don't need it to move forward with our elections. We would recommend that council contact and staff will put together the appropriate letter and asking that they not include us in any legislation that may pass regarding the postponement of the elections. I do not think it serves a purpose at all for Winterville.
I make a motion we do a letter to our representatives.
But somebody else makes that decision, we don't make.
It is being discussed at the legislative level, and my understanding, Don did some research for me as well, is that if that decision is made, it would be made for the entire state. As it stands right now, obviously, I would suggest, and I imagine there are going to be others that follow suit, that ask to be removed from that statewide decision if they choose to make one. Because certainly we don't think that it serves us any purpose, except cause a lot of confusion, messes up staggered terms theoretically, and it causes us some issues. Don, we did receive a letter, and I'll defer to Don, from Dave Davis outlining what our anticipated cost for this upcoming municipal election would be, as if it's going to continue, but obviously it is in question currently. Don, I don't know if you want to.
I'll elaborate. I mean, it's fairly much the same. He did ask, depending on the number of one-stop places we were gonna want, so we will need to make that decision at some point. And basically, the more places that we have, the more it's gonna cost. It basically doubles up. And then also, when they sent that, they did want you all to decide the cost of filing, and I think it included in your agenda package. In the past, our previous filing fee was $25 for the mayor and $12 for council. And that's the only action, other than if you want to put in there that a letter be drafted to go to our representatives, that I would need to know tonight, because I do want to respond to the Board of Elections on that, so assuming that everything moves on.
What would be the increased cost you recommended? Right now it's 12 and 25, so how much?
Well, if you can see, we could increase it slightly, but there is a maximum. It cannot be more than 1% of the annual salary. So
We're not proposing that you necessarily make a change. We just ask that if in fact you're happy with these amounts, you all need to collectively agree that that's what you lower it to this. So,
Well, I just make a motion that we keep the same amount as previous filing fee, yes.
yes,
Yes.
your filing fees.
Mhm.
Second. Yeah, I made a motion to vote on the, keeping the letter. Nobody second my motion, though.
Yeah.
I second it.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Hines.
Yes.
Councilman Smith.
Yes.
Councilwoman Robertson. Yes. And Councilman Moore.
Yes.
Mayor, we have all votes in favor of leaving the final fees as they currently are listed as 25 for the mayor and 12 for council member.
Okay, thank you. All right.
You'll go ahead and let
No.
us first. Yes, sir. Everybody, we got motions.
Councilman Moore made a motion to send a letter to our representatives regarding, the delayed elections,
Right.
asking us to be removed from the
Right.
state
Right.
consideration of.
And I second it.
Okay, and Mayor Pro Tem Hines seconded that motion, and I'll poll the board, starting with Councilman Moore.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Hines.
Yes.
Councilman Smith.
Yes.
Councilwoman Robertson.
Yes.
And Councilman Moore.
Yes.
Mayor, we have all votes in favor of sending a letter to our delegates, asking to be taken out of any consideration of a delay in elections for this year to 2021.
Okay, thank you. Item number 12 is,
I guess
uh,
one
item
question.
Mayor, hold on, Mayor, hold on.
Can we go with our decision as far as early voting is concerned? That we have early voting 1 week, I think it's 1 week before the election, and we only have one polling place, community room here in Winterville.
Well,
Okay.
It's a $9,000 cost.
Yeah, 1 week, early voting, 1 week prior to.
Is that 5 or 7 days?
Yes.
well, if you'll remember, last year, the time period was dictated by the Board of Elections, by the state. I think the only thing we have a say is if we wanted to have more than the community room.
I was just,
But I thought they said, I thought on that memo, it said something about having it, the price for 2 weeks, wasn't it?
14th to the 30th, that's what it says in the letter.
Yeah,
That's 2 weeks.
and that
I
was,
think we've been doing municipal elections 1 week before the election, though. I mean, I know it gives people a longer period to vote, but it's a slow stream, a lot of days. You don't have people constantly coming, you know,
And it's
and,
expensive.
and that was during the presidential election somewhat, yes. So I think a week, you know, we're gonna have to, if they make a guideline, we're gonna have to go with it. But if we say a week, then I'll say pending any other state regulations, okay?
what, okay. I will investigate that with the Board of Elections to see whether our hands are going to be tied. Am I hearing that the community room is going to be satisfactory for what you all want? The time period is what you'd like to keep if we have any say in the deal, is that?
I thought we had say in our own election,
Yeah, I do
Maybe-
too. I thought so.
It may be.
because if I'm not mistaken, I believe last election, now correct me if I'm wrong, we opted not to do it as long as they quoted us because it's so expensive.
Yes.
Okay, so,
Typically, we have 2 locations.
One.
Oh, we had,
We don't do it at our center, early voting, not early voting.
not early voting, I'm talking about election day.
Election
Yes.
day we have.
Right.
Election day we have tomorrow.
So election day, there'll still be 2 locations.
well, technically, there's 3.
Well,
There's a small piece of
Well, if there is others, a municipality is like to do what we're speaking of, to keep everything according. They're saying, I think that we should maintain what they're requesting with these important dates for the election. And that's including your, one-stop early voting. Because if you have more municipalities would like to do what we are doing, we are speaking of, they need places to decide, just one place to go and vote. So if we all will be the same, if it's more than us, if we only one, then we can set our standards. But if more than us, I think that we ought to stick to these dates.
From what I understand, it's only one other municipality in Pitt County that would go with the districts, which is Greenville. Aden does whole town voting, but people come from the districts.
Yes.
They have, no, this is the way they do it. Everybody votes for the persons. Everybody votes for the persons, but they represent certain areas of town. It's at large voting, that's the way it's been explained to me.
But the districts would change that.
Well, it might be that somebody would end up in a different district as far as their house, but from what I was told now, you know, I'm wrong, that everybody in town votes for you, but you have to reside in a certain district.
The county commissions were that way back before '86.
I thought it was strange, but different.
It's definitely strange.
It's different, I'll say it like that.
Before '86, you lived in a district and the whole county voted. As president of the Young Democrats, I went to commit to the commissioners and asked they only that district vote, and they passed it. In August of, October of '89, I went to the town board here and asked that we have go from 3 to 5 members of the council, and they agreed to it. I also asked for 5 districts. They didn't go, 5 districts. They didn't agree to that. October, I've been here 3 months. And I made a big mistake the biggest mistake I made, lowered the speed limit. Now it won't go back. State's they held that to me for 20-some years.
So we have a motion on the floor? I think so then. And Veronica made a motion and
Yeah,
Mr.
when we-
Moore seconded.
1 week early voting and,
I second.
We said 1 week or vote?
1
We don't wanna
week.
go by the-
Yeah,
One
what was your
week.
time
one
period?
location for early voting.
One.
You don't wanna go by what they recommended here on the day.
Okay, I wanted to add to that,
You'll need an amendment.
pending state regulations. And that would allow us to do whatever the state requires.
So what we'll do is after the council votes, we find out if we have no say-so, then what we'll do is just let it
Do
go.
whatever they say
Right.
do.
Right.
But that's our preference.
Bound by whatever the state decides if,
Well, we only did a week last time.
Yeah. And they told us we could do 2 weeks, but we
You-
did 1 week.
I'm almost sure that,
We have,
unless I remember it wrong, that
2
we
weeks is
opted to
way
do
too
less
long.
time than what.
You had made that in your earlier motion. You had said pending state outcome. That's what you
I'll
said.
just repeat.
I know, but I'm just saying that's what you had said anyway.
Okay. we
Right,
good.
so it's covered, you know,
Right.
yeah, okay.
I just want to make sure I'm
All
on.
right, we all on the same page?
We're on the same page, that's
Right,
it.
right.
Ms. Robertson, your time period was 1 week in your motion.
Mhm.
Thank you.
That's our preference anyway.
Mhm.
Okay, Mayor, I'll hold the board, starting with Councilman Boyd,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Hines.
Yes.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Councilwoman Robertson.
Yes.
And Councilman Moore.
Yes.
Mayor, I believe we have votes all in favor of, assuming there's no state requirement
Right.
otherwise, stating to the Board of Elections that we would like 1 week of early voting at one location, being the community right next door.
Okay, that sounds good to me. I guess we are through with that particular item. Moving on to item number 12 is future agendas or work sessions.
Well, if we knew about the money we can get from this $1.9 trillion fund for municipalities, we might want to have a meeting, how we're going to spend this extra money.
Well, we've got some initial preliminary information I'm not sending you yet, because I want to make sure that this is,
Doesn't change again.
it's as specific as it can be, which is still subject to change. We'll get some information out, and certainly you can take it up in your budget deliberations.
It's like winter.
Okay. I don't know whether we consider this an agenda item or not, but one of them lost a real good friend and a member of our planning board since our last meeting. I'd like to see the town at least send his family a nice letter or something to thank Robert Briley with all the work and all the years he worked with the planning board.
Mayor, I believe staff is currently doing some research to make sure we have the
That sounds real good. Robert was a good friend, and he had a sister that was in my class in high school. All righty, moving on to item 13 is report from department heads. Does anyone have any project they'd like to explain at this time?
I would like to, if I could, Mayor, give a quick update on minimum housing and code enforcement. Grass is starting to grow. We don't have a lot of overgrown lot enforcement letters yet, but we're starting to see things start to take off. We realize that with all of the railroads work out along our town, that we've got some interesting landscaping challenges, I'll put it that way, with some of the rocks and debris that still exists.
On the roads too.
Correct. We're gonna try to determine the best way to handle that when it comes time to try to mow or maintain the grass along the tracks, and we'll be gentle, we don't wanna be breaking out windshield left and right, so we're, actively discussing that, trying to come up with ways to address it. We'll be ramping up our code enforcement and minimum housing. We currently have several houses, let me say several. We have a few houses that are on our list and actively pursuing the process to either have them abate the nuisances or move forward with our process. So we are actively engaged in both of those things.
Yep. It's caused some detours and so forth with this work that the railroad's doing. I know that.
Yes, and I believe that, Gloriolis and as we go south toward Dayton, I don't know, Ben has a different report. I think that may still be closed tonight. I haven't been home since I came to work this morning, so I'm not sure. But hopefully they'll be opening back up very soon.
Well, we might close it back down, but Gloria Ellis, the road is just falling apart.
It is in rough shape.
As far as the railroad crossings go, they should all be open tomorrow.
Oh, I thought it was tonight.
No,
No, good.
tomorrow for the morning commute within our jurisdiction.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yep, and the rest of the road. I have been, and I've provided council with the pothole reporting website that y'all may share with any of your constituents, that they can log in and report. As y'all have sent them to me, I've reported them, and they have, in most cases, been pretty quick, about 48 hours in getting over. They just fixed the ones on Church Street this morning, down there by Linden Lane.
How about the one we have behind the automotive place, down from Dick's Queen, there's a big pothole on our road, of this size.
I'll
walk up behind it.
I'll report that to DOT and see what they do.
Yeah,
More likely, we'll have to take care of that one, but I'll go by there as soon as I'll be here, take a look at it.
Do we have a public works director yet?
I'm sorry.
You have a public works director yet?
I'm gonna talk about positions when I get around to my part.
Thank y'all.
Sorry.
Thank you, Ben.
Okay.
Anyone else?
Oh, yes, on, fire hydrant on property, who is responsible for keeping those clean?
Fire hydrants,
Yes.
if there are fire hydrants, then they're responsible for maintaining them.
I'm talking about keeping the grass, you won't grow about, the homeowner, is it the homeowner themselves? If it's on their property?
Yes, the homeowners are responsible for keeping their yards and their rights of way in front of their homes maintained.
Any other report you can bring us about the evaluation, about the, cost, the holes along, Railroad Street from the library and report on that for the school Robertson we passed last month?
Yeah, let me, I don't have, let me see if Mr. Williams has those, thank you. Does that answer the question?
Yes, you said homeowner, right?
Yes, that's correct.
What was that one?
We were looking at the areas for,
Holes
the holes in front of the school and the library.
in the cross river track, kind of brought up.
Yes, so we have had some conversations with the railroad company, and I actually have a phone call with them tomorrow morning about that project and a potential on, some cost share on that, so we'll keep
And traversing through town, sometimes it gets really difficult on some of these areas. I know you said something about it, and Mr. Moore and I experienced that. We were coming down the street, and you know, you can't get two. I feel like we ought to be able to get 2 cars always down the street, you know, instead of one. And I think we need to tighten up on our regulations a little bit. Park, yeah, the park cars or the park trucks or whatever, so that cars can go up and down the street, no matter, even if they are, you know, on the street. But it might be that we'll have to restrict parking on some streets.
There are definitely some streets.
Because-
Neighborhoods where you cannot get 2 cars and you definitely need an emergency vehicle through there without some concern. And I'm talking about the bigger emergency vehicles. It would be tight.
It really bothers me. I'm just thinking about, like you said, emergencies and things like that. If one were to occur, you couldn't get in or you couldn't get out because of things that are parked on the streets.
That's correct.
Anyone else?
And is it time for your evaluation?
We usually do it in April, so it's getting time. And I'll send out an email to see if, unless y'all want to try to set a time tonight about date.
Do you have another meeting this month, don't we?
I don't think so.
Budget's gonna start in April then, those meetings.
We will have an update meeting, and I believe that's what we did last year, if I'm not mistaken, did it on the same night as the budget update.
We did it right before.
Yes, and that's I don't have that date in front of me, Don, you have it, in yet. Don't run, if council, if everybody thinks they'll be available, and to do that same process, if that works, that would be great. It'll save you an extra get together.
And this is in April.
And usually we have it towards the last of the month, around the 25th, 6th, 7th, and that, arena. Shop's always checking budget calendar.
He's got it.
April 26th.
Okay? And that normally, I believe we have that at like 6 o'clock. Usually those meetings are start around 6, so if you'd like to schedule the meeting at 5, for the evaluation on April the 26th. Everybody okay with that?
So we're gonna have what time?
At 5 o'clock?
Could you, if the board would agree to it, could you have it at 6?
Now, your budget meeting normally starts at 6. So, I mean, you have to push back your
The
budget meeting to 7.
evaluation,
Okay.
the evaluation starts at 5, the budget starts at 6.
Okay.
But I mean, we can do that if council prefers.
Just push, that's my daughter's birthday. That's why.
Uh,
That's why. I'll work around it. You can celebrate a birthday another day.
Bring cake and ice cream to the...
I'll work around
We'll
it.
get chorus, we all
We
sing
can
together.
celebrate another day. What day of the week is it?
Council can certainly change the time.
No,
of the budget meeting.
I'll be all right. I'll do it. I'll fine, it's fine.
Are you sure?
Yeah, we'll work. That's awful.
So you tell me that, why don't you just change the date?
Is everybody good for the 26th at 5? Can I get a motion and a vote on that?
I move we make it 5 o'clock, evaluation town manager, before the 6 o'clock meeting.
Second it.
Mayor, we have a motion by Councilman Moore, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Hines, to schedule the town manager evaluation meeting at 5 o'clock on April 26th, right prior to the budget update. And I'll poll the board, starting with Councilman Moore,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Hines,
Yes.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Councilwoman Robertson,
Yes.
Councilman Moore.
Yes.
And I'll point out for closed session.
Yeah,
Have it on my calendar at this time.
Closed session.
That will be a closed session, and we will give the, same process out for council sooner rather than later.
I'm assuming it'll be just like we've done in the past,
Unless council prefers to change it, that will be the same.
right? Okay, any other reports from any of the department heads? Moving on, Don, will you do the announcements?
Yes, Mayor, I do. We'll try to limit those a little bit. This weekend, we're all going to be a little sleepier because daylight saving time begins Sunday, March 14th. That means to turn your clocks forward 1 hour. Planning and Zoning Board meeting will be next Monday, March 15th at 7 p.m. here in Town Hall. They are still also doing meeting electronically. The Board of Adjustment meeting will not be needed this month, so it has been canceled. Recreation Advisory Board will meet on Tuesday, March 23rd at 6:30 p.m. here in Town Hall Assembly Room. And town offices are closed Friday, April 2nd for Good Friday.
Okay, thank you, Don. All right, reports we'll start with the town attorney.
Thank you, Mayor. I have no report tonight, subject to your questions. Thank you.
Okay. All right, we'll start, I'm looking at the picture, I really can't tell exactly who. Mr. Moore, we will start with you.
Okay. This right here is for you, County Manager. The Youth Council, I see that we still have funds available for the Youth Council, but the
Councilman, I'm sorry.
Youth Council,
Yes, sir.
I think we have funds available for Youth Council for $2,500. It has not been used. Where are we at on the Youth Council for our youth this
We're
year?
really not much of anywhere because COVID has more than put a damper on our ability to really start that process back up. It was identified year before last and probably before that as something that council deemed important. I deem it important as well, but honestly, trying to, with kids not in school and trying to kind of recreate and revamp that has not been something that we have been able to successfully put together in light of the restrictions we've had in place. That is certainly something I will address in my self-evaluation, and it is a goal that I'll be listing, obviously, that as soon as some of the restrictions continue to lift, that we start that first and foremost. I do think that we have not been successful at obtaining a volunteer or volunteer advisors, just not really having good luck with that. So we're looking at options for how multiple staff members may be involved to help work with and move forward with the council.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, Councilman Smith.
I don't have anything, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay. Councilman Hines.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I have an announcement. I've been working with the Brody School of Medicine with my nonprofit, which is called Be Impact. And they approached me about helping to get the word out about doing vaccinations here in the town of Winterville. And along with Pastor Carmen that was brought up tonight, which is so fitting, I met with Pastor Carmen, and we're going to utilize his church over on Jones Street this coming Thursday, starting at 9 a.m. and going to 1 p.m. to do a 100-shot vaccination. It's Discerner, I think that's the correct name, how you pronounce it. The Brody School of Medicine has a special supply of vaccination. It's a special program that they received from the North Carolina DHHS for historical marginalized communities. And the goal is to try to get the seniors that haven't been or have challenges getting there. And that's what I met with Pastor Carmen about. And Pastor Carmen and his group, they did a canvas this weekend to try and find out the people in our neighborhood that hadn't had their vaccination. And so, along with that, what we're going to be doing is try to get these people vaccinated. Again, it's going to be going on March the 11th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. There's no appointment. You can come up and just make sure you have your ID and everything. And we're going to try and make sure that we get everybody vaccinated. They were in Aden last week, and they've been to Grifton. And they're looking to go over into West Greenville to do the same thing that they're doing here. So, and I also spoke with Mr. James tonight, and they're looking possibly maybe even going down into Bethel. And basically, we're just trying to make sure that everyone gets the shots that want them and that can't get to these facilities to get the shots. So we want to get into these neighborhoods so to make sure that we can help these people that would like to get vaccinated. So I encourage you, if you haven't had it, to get it. I'm actually planning on having mine done Thursday morning, rolling up my sleeve and getting my shot done there, and to be a part of the community. Yes, good question. They are going to come back within 28 days back to the same location to administer the second shot. That was a good question. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Robertson.
The library, of course, got that new Wi-Fi. I say it's more powerful. People that are more adept at computers probably say something else. But people can sit in their cars and utilize Wi-Fi. It goes off at 8. And you did say that if it was a problem, you could change the hours. It became a problem there. I had 2 citizens to come to me for assistance this month, and I had to go to the town, and I even went to our county to help these people. In the domestic situation that I had, I appreciate Chief and the things that he did to help with that situation. Sometimes we as women will feel helpless, and sometimes when policemen come around, they make you feel even more helpless instead. But he was very understanding. Also, I contacted our county commissioner, Lauren White, about a citizen who had a concern about a taxation problem. And she immediately went to help. The person from the tax office came down, and they've been out to the property, and so it's been somewhat resolved. So I thank town staff that work with me on these things, because that lets our citizens know that they care. And of course, Commissioner White or help with that citizen concern about taxation.
Okay. Mr. Moore.
Yes, on that same vein, I talked to James Roseford County. The commissioner lines will probably change this year, as well as Board of Education. I hope that our board will go on record and say that we would like to have a whole commissioner, not divide up. I was contacted by a group by UNC that we're one of the few communities in North Carolina that divide up House and commissioners. So we need to take a stand and say, look, we have not had a county commissioner live in town since 1986 or Board of Education since 1986. That's a long time without representation. It represents the entire town of somebody we can go to help our town. He said that this would be changing.
Who determines the school, the county commissioner, the school
Jones Street, there's 3 in one neighborhood. They're all over town. If our ordinance need to be tweaked.
It's actually, our ordinance is good, and it's not, it's just a matter of every year we have to kind of get back and do the swing of code enforcement, and that falls under this, obviously, the police department, but it's still part of code enforcement, so, we find ourselves ramping up this time of the year, and, we don't necessarily need to wait, so police chief and I talked a lot about ways to try to monitor those things throughout the year.
And when we look at our budget, years ago, we were getting ready to do these 3 intersections, fix them up. Try to go from this side of the railroad track to the other side. If you're an elderly person, how do you get from this side of the side to the railroad track? Try to do it walking the road. I walk back and forth to my office, I come back and forth. It's difficult to get back and forth. Our downtown is a lot of improvement, it looks. This company's 3 of them, I think. It's all in Winterville, with Thor, Eaton, Brothers, and Thor. Broad Music Company. But our downtown needs a lot of work. I'm proud to have another restaurant downtown. We have no breakfast area downtown at all. We've got to go downtown. But anyway, that's all I have. Thanks to staff, you've been open again, part-time. It's a challenge, because you get all kinds of people. Thank you.
If there is a facelift that's been done to one of the stores over there,
That's one old clothes farm that's redone
That's
outside
amazing.
down here.
I mean, it,
Amazing.
There's 4 different restaurants with that location. The Clem Barber sold his, the girl sold, the Glover girl sold hers, so there'll be a change in downtown.
so that will let you know right there, if we do what we need to do to build up, we will receive the benefit. For people that actually want to come into our town. All of those is competing for that one side.
The people that own the buildings have to do what
They need to do, right.
Not the town
Town,
that did
right.
that. They have to take what they own and make it presentable.
Presentable.
And that's what whoever owns that building did, that's why so many people want to get in.
Right.
Well, does economic development, us being for that, supposed to be like,
I don't think we can take much credit for what they did.
I can take credit for what they
No,
did,
no,
but
no, no.
I do think our efforts in economic development has gotten, I'm just talking about at a broader scale. I think we have positioned ourselves in a way that, we haven't, probably some of the best ways that we have as a town. And so I know that staff has worked really hard. I'm not looking credit for that. I got a great staff that's handling that. But I do think that we're starting to reap some of the benefits of that hard work that's gone on for several years.
I just have one other thing. I'm sorry, Mayor, but I had some citizens over in my neighborhood was asking me this question, and I think maybe you, Terry. Again, this is a question having to do with streets, and I think what I provided to them was they wanted speed bumps, speed humps, speed bumps, or whatever. And I told them, I think it's 90%. Is it 90% of the homeowners in the neighborhood had signed a petition?
We don't have a specific
Okay.
number, but what I have asked before is that a petition be presented to the town.
Right.
It doesn't have to be a bona fide formalized petition, but normally what happens is a petition's easier because all the signatures come at once.
Mhm.
I have had individual people contact me via written request from that neighborhood.
Right.
That can be managed, it's just a little harder to do that, but we do ask if, particularly in your neighborhood, if they want it throughout the entire neighborhood, it would have to be, well, not, it wouldn't have to be, because council makes the decision, but we would ask that as many people who want it and are invested in it sign on as possible, so council truly has an idea of the desire.
Well, I just wanted to kind of make sure, I was trying to clear, I didn't want to give them misinformation, but I was saying, I thought it was like, I thought I heard something said 90% of them homeowners, and then it would be a traffic study done by the police department to determine where speed humps will go.
We usually have the police department and public works department work collaboratively to talk about the best locations once council decides that they want to move forward with that. We
Yeah.
We have sort of developed it as Jones
Okay.
Street was the first real installation. Maybe it was anyway, from the first time that we installed them nonetheless, but certainly if there's a request, the more people that contact me, the better.
Well, there is a request, over in Manchester. I've talked with the chiefs before about speeders. I think several people in the neighborhood has called about speeders coming through there, and as it getting ready to turn warm, kids are in the street riding bikes, and just want to make sure it's safe. Not just only in Manchester, but I'm hoping in Denali and all the neighborhoods over there and all the neighborhoods over here. People just need to be, extra careful, because people are out now walking and, doing everything else. So just make sure you're being careful when you're traveling through the neighborhoods. I was just talking about, can't move through the street because how they park and everything. So just take a little time, do a little inventory around your own property and see what you need to do, to make yourself safe.
If there's a formalized request, if you'll have folks forward that to me.
Okay.
the
I will.
process.
Okay, thank you.
I'll work with the city of Rankin about helping us. I'll give it to us sometime April, May, and get them out. Students up in this place school. Could you update us on, I know we're getting ready to reopen to not on a full scale.
Sorry, okay.
Started today, right? So, can you update us on when will staff be vaccinated? Is it mandatory for staff to be vaccinated? And with the numbers dropping drastically, if we've looked at numbers, then when do we anticipate being open full time? Because we all need to get back to business.
Sure. And I think all those are great questions. So first, let me state that you all received a copy of the email that I sent out regarding vaccinations, making our employees aware of their options. So with group 3 being opened up in total, that allowed some of us to be able to get in and get vaccinated. So our folks have already started making their own appointments, and folks started getting vaccinated last week. That continues. I got mine this morning. So it is not mandated that employees be vaccinated. There's a lot of legal implications or ramifications that go along with that. So I opted not to make it mandated. However, employees who choose not to be vaccinated will have to follow a set of rules based on numbers and both in-state and nationally as those continue that differ from those that are vaccinated because of some of the guidelines and how they're coming out. We have, since the pandemic started, followed the executive orders coming out of Raleigh in terms of how we've addressed numbers of people inside the building versus numbers of people outside. I mean, we've pretty closely adhered to those types of things. I believe currently, I don't have it in front of me, and I feel like I've seen it so many times, I don't recall what the numbers inside the building are. What'd you say, I was thinking in terms of, we thought we would get back to partially opening based on the schedule that we really didn't get to kick off very long at all last fall, November-ish timeframe. Try to get a couple of weeks under us. I anticipate if everything proceeds as it currently is proceeding, and then we'll come back out and make some additional adjustments, and we will continue to open accordingly. I don't have a date specific for a full reopening. I would like to get more of the staff vaccinated first, or have them have the opportunity to get vaccinated first if at all possible, but I don't think it'll be that long. Does that answer the right, cover everything?
I have a question about the speed bumps. On Jones Street, there are two different areas. Is that little, I was like stick in the road. Is it cheaper than I know it's probably cheaper than the other ones.
Which one's speed bump, man?
So, that is a different style. It's not necessarily cheaper. What we found was, the vaulting system that goes with the ones that we have had, are
as a owner of a small car
Bear up from the ground.
and an expensive car, I like a smooth bump.
But that's, it's more of a, it's like a little P, the one that's like a little hill. You know, you gotta stop, because if you don't stop, you're still gonna be in the same situation. But slow down at least anyway. But that one is like, you know, you go, it's just hard to do. And it just seems like, I try to avoid it because I feel like it's doing some damage to the car. So I try to go any way I can around it.
Then can you check, and I was gonna tell you afterwards, but one of the residents on Primrose, had mentioned to me that the bolts are coming up.
Right, so that's the issue there, is the cars hit those, the bolts are pulling up out of the asphalt, and they're coming up. So there's one section that's missing out of there that I believe, pulled those bolts out. I'll be walking the dog this evening, so I'll have to check it. But what we did was we took the set that was over here
Okay, thank you, Ms. Manager. With
Mayor,
no other item,
Mayor, hold
no
on
other.
one second. Yes, sir.
Mr. Park, I want to ask you,
Yes.
what about the summer program that we have also? You know, the one that we used to have, I think that at first, we had a flood of applicants, and then all at once, it was hard to fulfill those positions. I think you had to grass, operation, and
Right.
is that still in place?
We still have the funding, but I will tell you that for the last 2+ years, I can't pay people to come work for the summer in those positions. I have people come in and inquire, and they find out the type of work it is, and I answer. So it's been a little bit disappointing. However, we usually start trying to look for folks in late April or early May. If you know folks, I've even kind of stepped outside of our initial age range of folks we were looking for, and still can't get people. to come
What is
work.
the age?
We have taken, usually 18 to 24 was the beginning age range. I have taken folks younger than 18. I have found not a lot of success with that, but I have been willing to consider that, just to have them come in and apply. If you know folks that are interested, please encourage them to apply. This is
June, July, August, I don't remember, it's been a while.
June, July, and August. A lot of times if they're in the school, it'll be
Monday or
July,
whatever.
early August, they'll end up going back to school. But we have kept some for an extended period of time to didn't have the full amount hired. So,
How many hours a week is that?
we have tried to, I think it's around 15. Evan, I don't know if,
I believe it's 25 hours per week.
well, that will totally depend on how many folks we've got and for how long. But we can be flexible with that as well. We'd love to have some folks. I know Evan would love to have some folks. I know Neil would love to have
That's
some
grass
folks.
cutting and weed eating, that was what my thought was.
I'm not available.
You're not available. Okay, we will not wait for your application.
Can we design something to get some girls? It seems like that summer program, basically, the kind of work it is, it's all male.
But that's what we have normally applied. There's certainly nothing,
I mean,
we'll take girls and guys,
I
but
mean, I'm not advocating our girls being out there in some grass.
Let's see if my wife's interested, I know she can cut some grass.
I know. I mean, I know, do we use it in the summer helpers for recreation department?
they have some recreation, but it's all maintenance work.
I got a room.
So there's,
So recreation would be, that they hire for.
well, site supervisors, scorekeepers, concession workers, obviously, that's not all male. We have females and males for those positions. A lot of the summer workers have been male, but there's nothing to say females can't get out there and do that, and that's really where the need is. I mean, that's where the whole idea behind the creation of that program was to get some of these departments to have this outside work, some assistance, and also while giving these young folks an opportunity to work and experience out of it as well.
Okay. If no other comments, do I hear a motion we adjourn?
So moved.
Maybe Mayor Pro Tem Hines made the motion, seconded by Councilman Moore. To adjourn, I'll poll the board, starting with Councilman Moy,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Hines.
Yes.
Councilman Smith.
Yes.
Councilwoman Robertson.
Yeah.
And Councilman Moore.
Amen.